I'm life and business coach Samantha Siffring, and this is the Badass Mother Podcast, where we talk inspiration and real life tips to rewrite the rules of motherhood and build a life you love while raising kids. Hello, mamas. Welcome to episode 46 of the Badass Mother Podcast. This week, we are talking about something that is totally relevant, whether you have a business or not. And it is about what to do when you want to quit. So I see this most when it comes to growing a business, but I know that it's relevant for a lot of other areas of life as well. Basically, any goal that you set for yourself, you will probably reach a point where you consider quitting, whether you're training for a marathon, trying to lose weight, who knows what, trying to clean your house, trying to build a business. And that is what most of my clients are dealing with. And something that's kind of different with my clients than the regular podcast listener is that they are making an investment in their business. So they are most likely not really considering quitting, but definitely having this freak out moment of, how do I know this is going to work? When do you know that it's not going to work? And how do you approach that? I'm really excited to bring this topic to you because it's something that I have struggled with a lot throughout my life. I definitely had the identity of somebody who quit things a lot. As you know, I had several businesses before this one that I didn't complete. I didn't, stick it out with. I decided to end. And I was like that as a kid. I was telling somebody the other day that I really wanted to do gymnastics in like second or third grade, and my dad wouldn't let me do it because I had already quit ballet and piano. So I for sure carried this identity as somebody who quit stuff for a long time. And it is not a way that I identify myself anymore. Now, as you know, I am preaching consistency and follow through and managing your mind. But these were tools I did not have as a second grader or as even a 25-year-old and all the things that I was doing in my 20s. So I think this is going to be a great episode. If you also have this identity as a quitter, I think this will also be good, even if you don't identify that way. If you have had some doubts about a goal or about your business, or if you've kind of wondered, like, when do I know if it's going to work or not? Like, when do I know that I need to stop or quit? So I think that this will be excellent for a lot of you, and I'm really excited to dive into it. I also wanted to give you a quick invitation to join me over at the Inner Circle. This is the least expensive way to work with me. It's $37 a month. It is a membership group that I offer, and we basically get together once a month. We have a Q&A call where I do some coaching in a group format. I also have a vault full of amazing training resources for business and mindset and marketing. They are incredible. And I just watched one of them today because today I'm also doing a training in our free Facebook group, the Facebook group that is a part of the Inner Circle. And in that group, I'm going to be reviewing one of the trainings that I did. And this one is about my philosophy of the two streams of marketing. So basically that there's short and long-term marketing strategies when you're first building a business. And I rewatched that training and was like, wow, this is amazing. So if you are looking for some help in your business, there is no better way than doing this. So I really encourage you to check it out. You can head on over to bit.ly bit.ly/TBH join. So this is all lower caps, bit.ly/TBHJOIN. And you can find out all the information about it. You can hop right in and you can see my monthly calls. You can see the Facebook Lives where I'm now going through this new training series, going back through all of my materials. And there's so much more in there. I have a couple of subject matter experts who have created social media trainings, like platform-specific social media trainings for us. We have a Pinterest one, an Instagram one, and a LinkedIn one right now, and they are all fantastic. So I would love to have you over there. Again, this is really for somebody who is ready to have some help in their business, looking for some community, looking for some extra support, maybe not ready to take the plunge into one-on-one coaching quite yet. I do one-on-one as well. I love it. It's my favorite way to work with people, but it is not for everyone. So if you're first starting out, I think Inner Circle is a fantastic place to join and get some additional support. We are not meant to do things on our own in this life, whether it's raising kids or building businesses or whatever. So come find your community and get some support. All right, let's dive into today's episode and talk about what to do when you want to quit. So I see this in Facebook groups a lot. I see people asking, how do you know when it's time to throw in the towel? Like, how do you know that it's time to just stop trying to build your business? And like I said, you can think about this with any goal that you're working towards. And what I think is the best answer to this question is it's time to quit when you aren't willing to keep going and keep trying to make it work. Because I really think if you try to make something work long enough, you are going to figure it out eventually. There's only so many times you can fail before it finally works. And I think if you think about any breakthrough or discovery that has happened in human history, you can see that this is true, that there was a lot of attempts before something that was previously thought to be impossible was achieved. And most of us are not trying to do things that no one's ever done before. Maybe you are. If you are, tell me, because I'm real curious about that and I want to cheer you on. But for those of us mamas who are building successful businesses from home, this has been done before. And if it is possible for somebody else, why not you? So think about that. It's not time to quit until you are no longer willing to keep trying to make it work. I see a lot of people out there who ask this question who are really looking for outside reasons or outside validation to quit or to keep going. They're trying to find an answer outside of themselves for either continuing on or not. And I think really, in any kind of goal that you're working to, business, life, whatever, it's not unusual to hit a point where you question everything and think about quitting. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So this episode is going to be talking about how to keep going, but I want you to know, regardless of if you keep going or not, you need to make a real decision. I do not want anybody here quitting by default. I want you making a solid decision to either keep going or close things down. I think a lot of us avoid making solid decisions like that and really claiming it. But even if you decide to end something or quit something, it's very empowering to make a conscious, totally intentional decision about that. So let's think about you who has made a goal for yourself and started out with a ton of motivation and excitement and possibility, so many dreams about how amazing it's going to be to achieve your goal. At this point, you are thinking from your future, from your goals, and from this perspective of what might be possible. This is a really fun place to be, but anybody who's heard anything from me basically knows that I say motivation and excitement are really, really flaky friends. They are not going to be there when things get hard. They're not going to be there when you have to keep going, when you have to persevere, when things are looking dark and gloomy and you're failing. When those feelings of motivation go away, the doubts slip in. So sometimes they'll go away just because time has passed and these like exciting feelings kind of wear off. Sometimes because you tried and failed a bit. And once you start trying and failing a bit, your brain will start thinking, this isn't going to work. This isn't for me. I can't do this. Those kinds of thoughts are most typically what most of us think when things aren't working. Either time has gone by and we haven't become successful yet, or we've been trying and failing. Those kinds of thoughts come in, we freak out, we withdraw, and it just perpetuates that cycle of not getting the results we want. What's going on in our brain when we lose that motivation and start to doubt is basically we've been asking our brain to hold two beliefs at the same time. We are asking our brain to think about what could happen in the future and what has happened in the past and believe both of them at the same time. So we're asking our brain to believe it's possible to achieve our goal and also that it's impossible to achieve our goal. Both of those thoughts together is incredibly uncomfortable for our brain and ourselves. And what kind of sucks is that we have no evidence for what could happen in the future and loads of evidence for what has happened in the past. So we're trying to believe something while believing the other thing, and we're only really having evidence for the negative one because that's what we've seen so far. What we've seen so far in our life is that's not possible for me, and we haven't collected the evidence that it might be yet. There is kind of an element of building the belief and building up that faith, really, that you can create something before the evidence appears. You have to create the belief for the evidence to come. I wish it wasn't that way, you guys. I always tell my clients, like, this is the really crappy thing that we don't want it to be, that it actually is. This is how things work. So when we're sitting in this place and we're trying to hold on to both beliefs at the same time, when we stop being really vigilant about it or feeling excited, our default thinking turns back on. So basically, when you think about these two beliefs, the belief in what's possible is your intentional thinking. That's you choosing what you want to think. The belief in what has happened in the past is your default thinking. So that's just how you've been thinking forever, 20, 30, 40 years, you've been thinking in that default way. And that's what's most comfortable for your brain. And asking it to believe something different takes a lot of effort. And here is what we need to know about our brain. It loves to be efficient. And it takes a lot of energy to think on purpose, intentionally, about what's possible for us. Our brains have 3 drives. They are driven to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and save energy. And if you think about those 3 drives, none of them match up with working really hard to achieve a goal. They match up really well with Netflix and the couch and chips or ice cream, whatever kind of treat you like to have, and scrolling on Facebook and not ever doing anything different than what we've already been doing. So this sounds like a negative thing, right? Like, oh, we're so lazy. But it's not true. This is actually how we have survived for so long. You've probably heard me talk about the caveman before. I think this is just a perfect visual of how our brains work. Our brain wants to keep us in our caves and not outside the cave risking death and danger. We know what's safe, even if it's kind of uncomfortable. We already know that it's safe, and our brain really prefers the known to the unknown. So if you're thinking about chasing a goal that is different from anything you've done before, you can see that it's really a stretch for your brain to get there and to be okay with that. So I want you to recognize this about yourself and your basic wiring and notice it with no judgment. This is just how we all are. It's not you. I have a lot of clients who are like, I just don't understand. Like, I just do this thing. I'm just afraid. I just hold myself back. And it's not you. It's how our brains are wired. We are all this way. And I think recognizing this can be really empowering to know, like, it's not that you are fundamentally flawed. It is that all humans are wired this way, and all humans who want to do something exceptional in their lives have to overcome this. They have to move past this. They have to sit in the discomfort. They have to be intentional with their thoughts and really do this work to move past our basic wiring, to move past surviving into the next level of thriving and creating the lives that we want to have. So don't judge it. Just recognize this is how I am wired, and that I have to be intentional with my thoughts all the time as much as possible, or I'm going to slip back into the default energy saving mode, and that is just going to continue to get me over and over what I have already gotten my whole life up until now. So if you want to create different results in your life, you have to shift your thinking, and that's not something you do once. That's something you do repeatedly. Like, really think about habits, like how you build habits. Think about other habits you've built in your life. And I just, for some reason, love to think about flossing in this, because I think flossing is such a good analogy for mindset work. It's so similar in so many ways. You have to show up and do it every day over a long period of time to get the results that you want to get. And some days you're going to show up and it's going to be really fulfilling. Like, you're going to get that popcorn kernel out from behind your molars. But then there's going to be a lot of days where you do it and you're like, well, that felt pointless. Is this really doing anything? But 6 months later, you get to the dentist and they say, you're doing a great job on your flossing. And you're like, yes, this is paying off. But you don't get that, yes, this is paying off on a daily basis. You have to show up and do the work on a daily basis. Sometimes it feels great. Sometimes it feels like a waste of time. But over time, those efforts accumulate and compound into the results that you want. So now you know exactly why you hit this place where you want to quit. And here's what you need to know to move forward. Failure is going to be a part of this process no matter what your goal is. Okay? There is no guarantee. There is no perfect way to do this without any failure. I follow this incredible weight loss coach. She cracks me up. If you are wanting to lose weight, I highly recommend checking her out. Her name's Corinne Crabtree, and she talks about failure a lot. So she talks about there's nobody who joins her program and then like it's just like, great, this works. Never made a mistake again. Never overate. Never, ate the wrong thing or whatever. Like, it's just been perfect since I joined. And I love that she says that, because it's the same with any goal that you have. It is totally the same with my clients who are building businesses. They don't take my advice and then magically make a ton of money overnight, sign all the clients, get fully booked, everything's incredible. Now, when I have some clients who already are successful and they just want to make some tweaks to get to the next level, that can happen really quickly. It happens so quickly. I have so many women who go from like 3,000 to 5,000 a month to 10,000 a month and beyond because there was just a couple tweaks that they needed to make. But when you're figuring out how to first make your business work at the very beginning, there's so much trial and error. There's so much failure. There's so much, I think this is my next right step. I'm trying it. I'm getting results. I'm evaluating. And it's just part of the process. And if I had a roadmap that would work for everyone, that would be amazing. But there's so many variables. Your target audience, your confidence level, your mindset, your personality, how you want to grow your business. It can take some work to get to that point where it's really working well. And I think this mindset piece of understanding your default thinking versus your intentional thinking is so important in that process. I think you absolutely have to know that I'm committed to figuring this out and making this work no matter what. Like, I think that has to be the thought that you hold on to most tightly. So then when you fail, when you get discouraged, you'll know I'm still moving forward no matter what. Like, no matter if I fail, no matter if I get discouraged, I'm still going forward. I'm still going to make this work. Whether or not the business works is not a question. The business is going to work because I'm committed to making it work. These were the thoughts that got me over the hump in this business, in coaching. Every other business until I became a coach, I did not ever get over that hump. I always let it trip me up. And with coaching, I intentionally made this choice. I'm going to figure this out and make this work no matter what. I'm totally committed to that. And it worked because I kept going, because I was totally committed, because I didn't let my feelings determine if I showed up or not. I held on to my intentional thought. So this is what you need to realize, that failure is going to be part of this process no matter what your goal is, and you get to decide what failure means to you. Does it mean keep going? Is it a source of information about what to try next? Or is it something that's going to stop you? Is it something that you're going to let show you that this isn't going to work? Is it something that you're going to let make you feel bad about yourself or bad about your goals? It doesn't have to mean any of those things. You get to choose. But you're probably going to have to make an intentional choice because your default thinking is always trying to pull you back in the cave. And that's going to mean, oh, this won't work. Here's your evidence. Get back in the cave. Turn on the Netflix. Scroll on your Facebook. So really be intentional about what thoughts you are choosing and not letting that default energy saver mode catch on and take over. You don't just get to decide what you want failure to mean. You get to decide all of your thoughts about yourself and about your goal. But to make this happen, you have to be doing the work on your brain regularly. So think back to that flossing analogy. You don't just floss once, you have to floss daily. And there's going to be so many days you don't feel like flossing. We just had an event for the kids' school, and there was plenty of wine available. And I came home that night, and I did not feel like flossing. But I did anyway, because it's what I'm committed to doing every day. So I flossed and then checked it off my list, even though I didn't feel like it. And it's the same with choosing our thinking, being vigilant about our thinking, using our feelings as a little indicator that maybe our thinking may not be right on. If you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling afraid, if you're feeling like quitting, you need to go back and figure out what thoughts are going on and if they're the thoughts that you want to be thinking, if they're the thoughts that are serving you. And it's okay to be sad and frustrated and discouraged sometimes, but you need to understand that you're not going to be achieving your goals from that place. So if you fail, it's okay to have that moment of like, well, crap, this isn't what I wanted to happen. This isn't what I was working towards. This is frustrating. This sucks. And then you decide, what do I need to be thinking and feeling to take the next step towards my goal? So you process through whatever it was that came up that sucked, and then you choose the next thought that's going to be useful, that's going to be driving you forward. This all comes down to one thing: deciding how much do you want this and committing to continuing to move forward until you create it. This is how I built my business. And I want you to all know this is how it works. You decide, and then you commit, and then you continue to consistently show up and do the work until you create the results you want. This is the definition of massive action. You take steps forward towards your goal until you hit it, no matter what. So I hope if any of you have hit this point where you're not sure if this is going to work, now you know that's BS. You decide if this is going to work or not, if you are going to work or not. And then you need to understand there is no reason to judge anything that comes up in your brain. You can have total compassion, you can shift the thought, and you can move on into action, into creating the results that you want to create from that place of commitment, that place of determination, that place of courageously showing up, even though maybe you're completely freaked out. All of that is so normal, and all of that is how you hit your goals. And I want you to know that I am here for you every step of the way. I have been where you are right now, and I know what's possible for you, even if you don't know yet. So I really encourage you to take me up on that invitation to join Inner Circle, and also head over to my Facebook group if you haven't already, Online Business Building Mamas. And I am rooting for you and rooting for your success. So hang in there, keep doing the work, and I'll talk to you next time.